I was 19 when I learned that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's what you do when fear is all you have left. My name is Marcus Chen, and I was a weapons officer aboard the UES Defiant when humanity faced its first real test among the stars. They don't teach you in the academy that some battles aren't meant to be won. They're meant to be survived long enough to matter. The Zephyrian Collective had been watching us for decades. While we struggled to reach Mars, they had mapped half the galaxy. While we celebrated our first moon colonies, they had already decided we were nothing more than an interesting experiment. A young species playing with fire, destined to burn ourselves out before we became a threat. They were wrong about the burning part. The message came on a Tuesday. I remember because I was eating synthetic eggs in the mess hall when every screen on the ship flashed red. Captain Sarah Morrison's voice echoed through the corridors, steady as granite despite the words she was speaking. All hands, battle stations. We have detected an incoming fleet of unknown origin. Size estimated at 100+ vessels. They will reach Earth orbit in 72 hours. The fork slipped from my fingers. Around me, 300 crew members sat in stunned silence. Then chaos erupted. Chairs scraped against metal floors. Someone screamed. Another person laughed, high and hysterical. I just sat there, staring at my eggs, thinking about my sister Emma back on Earth. She was supposed to graduate from medical school next month. The collective's first communication arrived 6 hours later. The alien voice was like silk over steel, beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. Primitive ones, you have strayed too far from your birth world. We come to correct this error. Surrender your weapons and technology. Submit to relocation. Your compliance will ensure your species' continued existence in designated sectors. Captain Morrison's response was broadcast across every human colony in the solar system. This is Captain Sarah Morrison of the United Earth Navy. We reject your ultimatum. Humanity will not surrender its freedom to any force, alien or otherwise. If you want our worlds, you'll have to take them. I was on the bridge when she said those words. Her hands didn't shake. Her voice didn't waver. But I saw the weight of 6 billion lives settle on her shoulders like a lead blanket. The collective gave us 24 hours to reconsider. We used every minute. Earth's entire fleet consisted of 12 ships. 12. The Defiant, 3 other heavy cruisers, 6 destroyers, and 2 experimental carriers loaded with barely tested fighters. Against more than 100 alien vessels, each one likely centuries ahead of our technology. But Captain Morrison had a plan. It was insane, desperate, and probably suicidal. Which made it perfectly human. They expect us to meet them in Earth orbit, she explained to the assembled captains over secure channels. A defensive formation protecting our homeworld. That's what any rational species would do. Her smile was sharp as a blade. We're not going to be rational. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. While the collective fleet approached Earth, expecting to find us cowering behind our planet's gravity well, we would intercept them at the asteroid belt. Not to engage directly, but to split their attention. 6 ships would hit their flanks while the remaining 6 attacked their rear elements. Classic pincer movement, scaled up to stellar proportions. The goal isn't to win, Morrison continued. It's to hurt them badly enough that they think twice about easy conquest. Make them bleed for every meter of space they take. 3 days later, I was strapped into my weapons console as the Defiant accelerated toward what everyone assumed would be our deaths. The asteroid field stretched around us like a frozen graveyard, rocks the size of mountains drifting in their ancient dance around the sun. Long-range sensors painted a picture that made my blood run cold. The collective fleet was massive. Sleek vessels that moved like living things, their hulls covered in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Energy readings that made our most powerful reactors look like birthday candles. Contact in 30 minutes, reported Lieutenant Torres from sensors. Her voice was steady, but I could see her hands trembling on her console. All ships, maintain radio silence, Captain Morrison ordered. Remember, we get one shot at surprise. Make it count. The waiting was the worst part. Sitting in the dark between the asteroids, watching those alien shapes grow larger on our screens. My finger rested on the firing stud for our main rail gun, a magnetic accelerator that could punch through 3 meters of solid steel. Against alien shields and armor, it might as well have been a pop gun. Movement on the collective formation, Torres whispered. They're spreading out. Looks like a standard search pattern. Perfect. The aliens were being cautious, which meant they weren't expecting us to be here. Their formation was loose, ships separated by thousands of kilometers. Individual vessels might be superior to ours, but they'd be fighting alone. All ships, this is Morrison. Target acquisition begins now. Remember, we hit fast and hard, then scatter. Don't try to be heroes. My targeting computer locked onto a collective destroyer, smaller than our ships but radiating enough energy to power a city. The alien vessel was beautiful in a disturbing way, its hull flowing like liquid metal under the distant sun. Firing solution locked, I reported. All ships, fire. 12 human vessels opened fire simultaneously. Rail gun rounds accelerated to 15% the speed of light. Missile salvos programmed with every electronic warfare trick our engineers could devise. Laser batteries that could cut through titanium like paper. The surprise was complete. Our first volley caught 6 collective ships completely off guard. I watched my target's shields flare and collapse under the concentrated fire from 3 human vessels. The rail gun round punched through its hull like tissue paper, venting atmosphere and strange fluids into space. But we'd kicked a hornet's nest. The collective response was immediate and overwhelming. Energy beams that turned space itself incandescent. Projectiles that moved faster than our sensors could track. Weapons we had no names for that seemed to bend reality around them. The destroyer UES Ranger vanished in a ball of plasma that briefly outshone the sun. Captain Williams and 200 crew members, gone in an instant. The heavy cruiser Prometheus took a hit that sheared off her entire forward section, but somehow kept fighting. Scatter pattern Delta. Morrison ordered. All ships, execute. We broke formation, each ship fleeing in a different direction among the asteroids. The aliens gave chase, their superior speed allowing them to close distance rapidly. But the asteroid field was our home turf. We'd trained here for years, knew every rock and gravity well. The collective ships were faster, but they weren't more maneuverable. Not in close quarters. Chen, target that cruiser at bearing 27 Mark IV. Morrison's voice cut through the chaos. Full spread, everything we've got. I locked onto an alien heavy cruiser pursuing the destroyer UES Hornet. My fingers danced over the controls, programming a missile salvo that would detonate in sequence, each explosion designed to overload their shields at precisely the right moment. Missiles away. The first 3 warheads detonated against the aliens' forward shields, brilliant flashes that lit up the asteroid field. The 4th and 5th punched through the weakened barrier and struck the hull directly. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the cruiser's rear section exploded outward in a cascade of debris and exotic matter. Target destroyed. I shouted, barely believing my own words. Good shooting, Chen. All ships, regroup at Rally Point Bravo. We've bloodied their nose, now let's get out of here before they recover. But the collective wasn't finished with us. As we attempted to disengage, their remaining ships began coordinating with terrifying efficiency. Energy beams lanced through space with surgical precision. The destroyer UES Valiant took a direct hit to her reactor and detonated, taking another piece of humanity's fleet with her. We were down to 9 ships, facing more than 90 alien vessels. The math was getting worse by the minute. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the collective flagship, reported Communications Officer Park. Put it through. The alien voice filled the bridge, no longer silk over steel but pure contempt. Primitive ones, you have demonstrated cunning, but cunning alone cannot save you. We offer one final chance. Surrender now, and your deaths will be swift. Morrison's response was to order another attack run. You want to know what humanity is, she broadcast on all frequencies, human and alien alike. We're the species that looked at the impossible odds and decided to fight anyway. We're the ones who crawled out of caves and reached for the stars. And we're the ones who will make you pay for every inch of space you take from us. What happened next changed everything. Not just the battle, but the war. Perhaps even the galaxy itself. As the collective fleet moved to crush our remaining ships, something unexpected occurred. Our electronic warfare systems, designed to confuse human sensors, began having strange effects on alien technology. Their weapons started misfiring. Shield generators fluctuated wildly. Navigation systems began reporting phantom contacts. Lieutenant Torres was the first to understand what was happening. "Captain, I think our jamming systems are interfering with their neural networks. The collective ships aren't just controlled by computers, they're controlled by linked biological systems. And those systems are going haywire." Morrison's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. "All ships, maximum electronic warfare deployment. Every jammer, every disruptor, everything we've got. Flood the spectrum." The effect was immediate and catastrophic for the collective. Ships began colliding with each other as their navigation systems failed. Weapons fired randomly into space or at their own vessels. The perfect coordination that had made them so dangerous dissolved into chaos. We pressed our advantage ruthlessly. The remaining human ships moved through the confused alien formation like sharks among minnows. Our inferior weapons suddenly found gaps in failing shields. Our slower ships outmaneuvered vessels whose pilots could no longer trust their instruments. The battle turned from desperate last stand to stunning victory in less than 30 minutes. When the shooting stopped, 43 collective vessels drifted powerless in the asteroid field. Others had fled back toward deep space, their formations shattered and demoralized. We'd lost 3 ships and nearly 600 people, but we'd accomplished the impossible. We'd made them bleed. The aftermath was even more significant than the battle itself. Within hours, every human colony was celebrating. Within days, other alien species were taking notice. The collective had seemed invincible, an unstoppable force that had conquered dozens of worlds. Now they'd been defeated by a species that hadn't even reached its nearest star. But I learned something that day among the asteroids. Victory has a price that goes beyond casualty lists and damaged ships. I watched Captain Morrison during the weeks that followed, saw how the weight of command and the cost of success changed her. We'd saved humanity, but we'd also announced our presence to a galaxy full of civilizations that might not be as overconfident as the collective. 3 months later, I was promoted to tactical officer and transferred to the new UES Titan, one of 50 warships rushed into production after the Battle of the Belt. Earth's leaders had learned the lesson the collective taught US, in a dangerous galaxy, strength was the only currency that mattered. Standing on the bridge of the Titan, watching construction crews work around the clock on the expanded Luna shipyards, I thought about my sister Emma. She'd graduated on schedule and immediately enlisted in the Navy Medical Corps. The galaxy was full of wonders and terrors in equal measure, and humanity would need all the healers it could find. The stars no longer looked cold and distant. They looked like destinations, waiting to be claimed by a species stubborn enough to fight impossible odds and clever enough to win. Captain Morrison was right. We weren't the strongest species in the galaxy. We weren't the smartest or the most advanced. But we were human, and that meant something the collective never understood. It meant we never knew when to quit. The final message from the collective fleet arrived as they reached the edge of our solar system. This time, the alien voice carried something new: respect. Humans of Earth, you have proven your worthiness to exist among the stars. The collective withdraws its claim to your worlds. We will remember this day, and the species that showed us the true meaning of courage. I smiled as I watched their ships disappear into hyperspace. They'd remember us, all right. And the next time someone threatened humanity, they'd remember what happened when 12 ships faced impossible odds and decided to fight anyway. The universe was about to learn that humans don't just survive. We thrive.